Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today for my new segment, The Life of a Military Wife. I'm so excited to talk about this today because it's a life that I'm currently living and so many people are. Although it's less than 1% of the population, we're a tight-knit little family, and I'm really proud of the military, my Air Force family, and what today's video is really going to be about is I'm going to go through some FAQs to help you maybe better understand what it's like being in the military. Again, this is just coming from my personal opinion and perspective. I know it's different for everyone out there in the military. Again, just to help you better understand, and this is my story. And before I begin, there's going to be another video down below that's going to be talking about the recruitment process of getting into the military. Again, it's going to be more airman specific, but I'm sure the same qualifications and stuff will apply to other branches, just to help you get an idea. Alright, let's get started. So, as most of you know, being a military spouse can be kind of nerve-wracking. You never really know what's going to happen next. You're always jumping from one thing to the next. Again, you know, you're on military time. Anything could happen. So, I have a few questions here that I'm going to read. First one is, what does the Air Force pay for? That's a good question. You have your benefits for the Air Force. Ours is called TRICARE. And it provides health, dental, different things like that for your insurance. And then it pays for your housing, which is your rent, utilities, of course up to a certain amount based on your rank. My living arrangements, personally, we do on-base housing. So for us, if you're in the military and you're married, doesn't matter what rank you are, you're allowed to get a house on base or off base. If you are single and in the military, you do have to be a certain rank or above. I believe it's senior airman. I could be wrong, I apologize if I am. Or above, then you could be. Maybe it's staff, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. What is it like being a military spouse? I could go on and on about this one, but in a nutshell, I would say it's a journey. It's a really fun, exciting adrenaline rush. However, just like everything else, it does have its kind of downfalls. You have to worry about when your husband may get deployed, what your next base is going to be, what's going on with them at work, different threats that you have to watch out for. You know, it's not all fun and games 100% of the time. So I respect the military. I love the military and what it's for, what it represents. It's helping people like you and me stay safe. And that's what it boils down to. So just knowing that you're a part of a good cause goes a long way, and it helps you get through. How do you handle deployment? Well, for me, my husband hasn't deployed yet, but it will happen. It's very, very rare that you're in the military and you don't deploy. You're going to deploy at some point, or your spouse is going to deploy at some point. So, haven't gone through it yet, but I do know other spouses who their husbands or wives have gone through it, and they're kind of coping with it, but everybody has their own different ways of getting through that 6-month period, year period, or however long they're gone for. Will your kids adjust well? Again, it's based on the family and it's based on the child. Most of the time, for children in the military, we like to call them military brats. That means they've lived their whole life in the military and they're used to going from base to base. I think it helps them kind of socially, but personally, you know, it's what you would have to choose as a parent if you want to settle down in one place and your husband goes from base to base and you visit, or I don't know, it's different for every couple. A lot of couples do travel with their husbands and their kids go with them. It's up to the family. The thing about the Air Force is, or the thing about the military in general, you know, it's just something that you have to really experience for yourself, because it's just a totally different lifestyle than the normal world. It's not like you could just go up to your job one day and quit. Like, you're in it, you're here, you have to go every day, you have to do exactly what they tell you, when they tell you to do it, you know. And another thing is, you know, these people in the military are risking their lives, and that's why it's so sad to me that nowadays you have a lot less people respecting the military, but I think that's because they don't know that everything it's about. Yes, there's war involved, but if somebody is trying to attack our country, then it's our duty to protect it. And do we want war? No. But, you know, sometimes it's all about defending our country. It's about defending our families, our friends, your families, and your friends. So one thing, if nothing from this video, just learn to appreciate and respect those who are going out and risking their lives for you. And that gets me on another topic. Some questions you really shouldn't ask either spouses or people in the military in general, because it's just plain disrespectful. And if we give you a snark answer, that's because, you know, it's not a question you should, you know, really ask, you know. Like, for example, does your husband kill? The answer is no. Not everyone in the military has to kill someone. That is not how it works whatsoever. There are so many different types of jobs in the military. I mean, literally thousands of different job specifics. My husband is in the technology field aspect of it. I don't want to get too into detail about his particular job, because that's, you know, his business. But he does the technology side of things. You have people working at the postal office. You have people working at the gym. You know, you have people working at the airport, doing all kinds of stuff. You know, you have security forces, which is what we call our police. And so there's so many different kinds of things. That doesn't mean you're going out every day and killing someone. So that's where the respect thing comes in. You know, don't assume things without getting the full knowledge of the military. It's kind of annoying. Another question that wives don't like to get asked is, you know, when is, if it's a family member or friend, you know, when is my friend coming home? When is my son or brother or, you know, whatever, when are they coming home? Are they going to be home for Christmas? Especially if they're on deployments. Probably not. You know, they don't get to decide. I mean, they get leave and they can choose a time to come home, but if everyone came home for Christmas, terrorists would be like, this is a good time to attack somebody. Like, no, we can't obviously all go home for Christmas. And a lot of the times, you know, since they're on deployments, they're in countries that the spouse and the families are not allowed to go to because it's dangerous. And so they sometimes miss birthdays. I've known several couples where the husband has missed the birth of their child, and it's really hard, but it's just one of those sacrifices as a spouse that you have to make for your husband and or wife. So, another fun fact is, you know, like when you're back home and you're walking down the street and you see someone in a uniform, you're like, oh, they're in the military. It's not something that you just see every day walking up and down the street. And they actually don't really recommend it anymore to the military because it could be unsafe. There's a lot of people, again, who want to attack the military, so they don't usually recommend wearing it off base. But me, for example, as a military spouse, you see it all the time. Like, it's just the norm now. You see it everywhere you go. Especially me living on base, that's all you see is people in uniform everywhere. The cool thing is that you either know someone in the military or there's people around you whose husbands or parents or something is in the military, and it's cool. You're a tight little group, and you're all going through the same thing, and it's really great. So I guess kind of a downfall, which, all people are human, right? So, don't assume that the military is bad, like we all kill and stuff like that. But don't also assume that the military is perfect, which I'm sure y'all knew that. There are, people out there who aren't very good. So especially as a spouse, you have to respect your spouse, and you definitely have to trust your spouse, because if you don't, then a lot of things could go wrong. It's hard enough just in an everyday lifestyle, to be married and going through your normal marital things in life, but to add on the stress of the military lifestyle, it could be really, really overwhelming. So, trusting each other, especially when your spouse goes on deployments and they're gone for 6 months, they're lonely, they're vulnerable, they might be sexually frustrated, It's good to support them, to know that you can trust in each other, to be faithful at all times. It's very, very important. It's very vital. It's probably the number one thing you should worry about. That should be first priority. Absolutely. So, as a military spouse, there are a lot of sacrifices that you have to make for your spouse in the military, just due to the fact that there's nothing you can really do about a lot of situations. You can't decide where you go. You can't decide what base you go to. Sure, you have a dream list and you can pick your top bases that you want to be on, but at the end of the day, they're going to choose where you go. At the end of the day, they're going to choose what job that you do and that you have. So, bottom line is that there's a lot of things that you can't control. So, with that, I say, sure, you have to put a lot to the side, but that shouldn't let you stop. That shouldn't let you stop you from achieving your dreams and goals that you have, because you can do them. You really can. Now, they may take longer, it might be a slower process for you, but it can be done. But unfortunately, your spouse in the military kind of has more of the control, and maybe not even them. Again, it's all people above. So, to have friends on base, even if you are an introverted person, is so not hard at all to make friends. It's the easiest thing to make friends, because again, you're all going through the exact same thing, which is great because you have something to relate to, you have stuff to talk about, you have things in common, and it's so nice and warming and welcoming to have someone go through things like that with you. So to have a deployment buddy and just friends that you can get through stuff with, take a break from your spouse. Be like, I'm going out with the girls tonight, going out with the guys tonight. Give each other your space. Every now and then let them do their thing, and then come together and then do your thing together. So balance is an important key. And really, in the military, especially when you're going from base to base, you're having to meet new people all over again. So you have to really try to seek out those people, unfortunately. But again, it's not hard at all, because they're probably seeking you out as well. It really, you can start talking to somebody and the gym would be like, I want your number, I think we should hang out. I've done it so many times. So, next thing, question. What is it like being apart from family? Whew. It is tough. I am just a little southern girl from Texas. I love my familia. So being away from them is so hard. Being away from my mother and my sisters and brothers. I have a huge, huge family, and they're constantly going through things. I feel like my brothers and sisters are having babies like every 5 seconds, and I wish I could be there all the time to support them. And you know, it's just something that I really want to be able to do, but you can't go home all the time. It's so expensive. I'm living overseas in Europe right now, so while the tickets may be discounted, still very expensive. You still gotta save up, different things like that. And adjusting to Germany, the culture's different. The people are nice for the most part. I haven't really encountered anyone who was super rude to me or anything like that. Just the culture's different. The language is different, obviously. But if you put in the effort to learn, if you know, try to make the best of the years that you're spending there, then it'll be good. Otherwise, it just won't be fun and you won't enjoy it. So, some questions that I get. Another kind of frustrating question, you know, people just assume because I'm in Europe that I get to just travel to Italy and London and Ireland and Paris and all this stuff just at the snap of a finger. But it's just like being at home and wanting to go on vacation somewhere upstate, you know. Like if I'm in Texas, I want to go to California. Still either got to buy the plane ticket or drive there, whichever. Still got to find the vacation time to do it. Got to have the money to do it. It's the same thing for us, you know. And especially with my husband only being in A1C in the military, it's even more difficult. So again, don't just assume that every couple just has this opportunity to go about and do different things. We do get to travel quite often. There are so many great cities in Germany alone that we were able to go to. However, you know, as far as going other places, it's hard. We definitely want to do them. They're definitely on our bucket list, of course. We want to travel there before we leave, but again, cost time and money. So, try not to assume. Okay? Ooh, alright, here's a biggie. Another fact is, expect your plans to change often. You may have some general vague idea of when you leave for your next base. This is just for an example. Like, we might think we're gonna leave next year, but they could bump it up another year. They can even bump it up another 2 years. Like, oh, we want you to stay for your full contract. Yes, they could do that. Again, you're on military time. You play by their rules. You do what they say when they say to do it, and that's all there is to it. You really don't have a say. You can have people above you help you out and stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, once it goes into the system, it's set. That's all it is. Stay faithful to your spouse. That's not hard, right? People do it a lot. I mean, some people say the percentage is pretty low in the military. I think it's pretty freaking high, especially on deployments. Stay faithful to your spouse, okay? It's hard, but just remember, you are both going through the same thing. You and your spouse are going through it. So you're not going through it alone, no matter what. You have each other for that process. You have your friends and your family to get you through those hard months. And it is very, very hard to be away. Some people are like, how do you do it? Stuff like that. How would you do it if, you know, your spouse went on vacation for the same amount of months? You would just have to do it and get through it, you know, because you love them. That's all there is to it. Is it hard making friends? For me, no, it's not. Again, if you are an introvert, it's still not hard. There are plenty of introverted, shy people. All you gotta do is open up to them. they're totally down to chill with you. I love all people. So I'll say hey to you, you say hey back, we'll start a conversation. That'll be it. You're my friend. Hello. Okay, the next question is, how has the military affected you as a person? This is a simplistic but hard question at the same time because it really evolves you as a person. It could change you in enormous ways, and it can make you a better, stronger person, and it can help you look at life differently. It could also help you notice that, some things aren't worth the trouble. For example, like back at home, I would be like, oh, I'm worried about doing this, and that. And then coming to the military, I'm like, those things weren't even a big deal. Especially not compared to the crap that I'm having to deal with here, you know what I'm saying? So, because they have all different kinds of rules and stuff. For example, and some of them are funny, but they really are serious. They have different rules, and for example, if your spouse is in uniform, it's a rule, non-rule, but it's just a respectable thing that you do no PDA in public. So no holding their hand, no being lovey-dovey and kissing on each other, not while they're in uniform, okay? They can't have their cell phones on them, they can't eat and walk. It's better to walk on the left side of your partner, because that way they can salute the officers. So whenever your airman or whoever is outside in uniform, if they see an officer and they're not an officer, they have to salute to them. So it's just a must. You want to be able to make sure that they're paying attention at all times. They have to wear like these like highlighter light up belts when they're walking outside so people don't hit them, It's just safety precautions, different things like that. Another tip would be to just call all their NCOs sir or ma'am, unless stated otherwise. So, is the military easily adaptable? Again, that is entirely up to the person. You can make it as good as you want it to be or as bad as you want it to be. If you know for a fact that you have to go through that and that you have to spend those years there, you might as well make the most of it, because again, you're the one that volunteered to be in the military, so you just gotta deal with it, roll with the punches. Can you work in the military? You can, but it's extremely rare. For most people, the squadrons that you're in, they want you to be available 24 hours a day in case they need you to work 12s, night shifts, weekends, whatever. I mean, you literally have to be available all the time. It was crazy when my husband was working 12-hour shifts, but you gotta do it. So most of the time they say no because of that reason, but very, very few people are able to work a civilian job if they want. How long will you be here? Again, up to the military to decide. We think maybe a year, could be 2, could be for a full contract. We don't decide that. Yeah, so it's good to learn the lingo. So different acronyms and stuff that the military use. Learn about your spouse's job. Learn about it. Conversate with them. Let them know, hey, I'm interested in what you do. Different things could be like their pay grade, and that's the letter number that determines their rank. So you have the enlisted group of people, and then you have the officers. There are so many different ranks, okay? You have I'm just gonna speak Air Force terms. You have the airmen, You have A1C, you have senior airmen, you have staff, and then tech, and then it just goes up from there, and then until you get to the officers, and then the person over the whole Air Force is the Chief Master Sergeant. That's the big dog right there. Anyway, so that was just a few things to get you to know. Means so dear to me. Just everyone that I've met here in the military, everything that I've got to witness, you know, it's not all fun and games. You know, sometimes they tell you you can't travel to this place or this place because, you know, there was an attack there. You know, we cannot go there or we will get in some serious trouble. You know, so there's certain things and rules that we have to abide by, and you know, that's fine. It could be stressful sometimes, but it's so worth it in the end, just knowing that, you know, me and my spouse, we're here together. We're doing this together. Our families are doing this together. Because it's not just about us. You know, we're here, we're living it, but, you know, our friends and family back home are dealing with the stress of, you know, their brother or their son, you know, being away from home, and it can be hard. So, you know, it's just worth knowing that you're doing it for a good cause, that you're doing it for the people that you love, and that's the best thing. So, thank you all so much for being a part of this segment. Again, the enlistment process will be down below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I will see you on my next segment. I love you all.